Welcome to my channel. I am Mind Blown Chef. Why? Because I'm gonna blow your mind with my simple step-by-step recipes. Sit back and get your mind blown. What's up, guys? I hope you're excited. In this video, we're gonna make a Persian dish. We're gonna make beef skewers, which are called Juli Kabab or Koobideh. We're gonna also make vegetable skewers and then Persian style Basmati rice. Check out this video all the way through. I go over some serious cool techniques Persian style. So the first thing we need to do is we need to marinate our ground beef. Now, traditionally it's used with ground beef and lamb, but in this recipe we're just gonna use ground beef. So what we need is our beef, obviously. I have about 3 pounds of beef, I have 3 whole onions, and I have sumac. Sumac comes from berries that are growing wildly all over the Mediterranean area, commonly used in rice and also in marinating meats in the Mediterranean. First step, you're gonna get a bowl, a big bowl. You're gonna drop your ground beef inside the bowl. Just let it sit to the side. Then we're gonna take a blender base, have that to the side, and we're gonna start prepping our onions. So for the onions, you're just gonna basically cut off each side. You're gonna peel them, and then we're gonna quarter the onion, and we're gonna stick it inside the blender bowl. So once you have your onions peeled and chopped, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna puree them in the blender. Now you can add a little tiny bit of water just to help the process get started in the blender. Once it's completely pureed, it should look a lot like this, an Italian ice. Don't drink it. You're gonna need a sieve. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna strain out all the liquid from the onions. We're gonna get it as dry as we can. Now, if you don't have a sieve, other thing you could do is you could take a colander and you can line this with cheesecloth and you'll get the same effect. It takes a little bit longer, but that's another way to do it. Once you strain off all the onion, go ahead and place it in the bowl with the beef. And then we're gonna add our sumac, some salt, and some pepper, and we're gonna add also 2 eggs, and we're gonna mix everything together. Oh, let's start building this. The reason we did all this straining of the onions is because we want to try to keep the mixture somewhat dry so the meat will hold together. So the eggs that we're adding are going to also help with the binding process. So we're add the eggs, we're going to add some salt, we're going to add some pepper, and now we're going to add the sumac. And then we're just gonna basically mix all this together. Alright, so once you have everything mixed together, it should be a nice, like, tight consistency, almost if you're making like meatballs. If you need to add more egg, no problem, add some more egg. Now, you're gonna take a couple paper towels and place them on top of the beef, because what's gonna happen is the salt that you add is gonna naturally dehydrate the ground beef. So it's gonna create a lot of moisture. So this is gonna suck up some of that moisture. The idea is to keep it as dry as possible so when we make the kebab, it'll hold together. So there it is right there. We're gonna stick this in the fridge and we're gonna just stick it in there for overnight. At least 12 hours, so I usually do it the day before. Just stick it in and let it sit overnight. Okay, so here we are, day 2 on our Koobideh recipe. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start prepping our vegetables, get them all skewered for the grill. For ingredients, I have onion, I have squash, zucchini, tomato, I have some olive oil here, we have our basmati rice, butter, some dry parsley, garlic, salt, and pepper, and then I have saffron here, which is actually from a wild flower. They say it's from Greece, but they're still trying to figure that out, but it's a very rare spice from a wild flower. For the onion, you're gonna wanna quarter it. We're gonna quarter it fairly large because we're gonna put it on the skewers. So go like this, half it, and then quarter it, and you'll have pieces a lot like that. For the squash, the zucchini, you're gonna do exactly the same. We're gonna make big circle cuts on these, rather large, a lot like that. You're gonna do the same thing with the zucchini. And then while you're prepping these items, you can have either your charcoal getting ready, getting hot, or you can turn on your grill and have that preheating. Put all your vegetables in a bowl. I left the tomatoes whole, and we have our diced zucchini and squash in there. We're gonna add our garlic salt in there. We're gonna add our dried herbs, pepper, and then add some olive oil. And you're gonna add enough olive oil to basically just coat all of the vegetables. So just give it a nice mix and a toss. That way they're all oiled and seasoned, ready to go, and then we're gonna skewer them. Now we're gonna start building our skewer. I'll start with the onions first. Do them on a separate skewer. Do all your vegetables on one and do your onions on another, because everything cooks at a different time. So if you put the onions on with the vegetables, sometimes what happens is the onions come out all overcooked and just like limp noodles. Now we're gonna do the tomato. The tomato, leave it whole and come through at the core and bring it straight in like this, okay? Like I said, keep everything on a separate skewer. So we got the tomato there, right? Now we're gonna do our zucchini and squash. Zucchini and squash you do on the same one. They cook at the same rate. So you wanna mix it up. Oh, do tricolors, make it all colorful. How nice. Just like this, go right down the middle. And I went right down the middle on the onions as well. And that's it. You're gonna lay all these out on a sheet tray, have them on the side, and now we're gonna go into our beef that we marinated overnight. So we pulled our meat out of the fridge that was marinating overnight, and I'll just show you real quick a little close-up of what it should look like. We're gonna take that paper towel off. See, that paper towel absorbs some of that moisture? The idea is to keep this as dry as possible because we're gonna make skewers, we want it to hold together. Now, if you notice that your beef is kind of loose, mine actually is not, it's holding together. You can add one more egg at this time. But, like I said, ours is good. So let's go ahead and let's start building these. What you're gonna do is just grab like a good size. And we're gonna just lay it out. I have some foil here. And you're gonna just slowly pinch and roll at the same time. Like this. Now, traditionally they use flat metal skewers. Personally, I just take the regular skewer and I just feed it through. And basically all this is for is support, because you're gonna end up taking this off at the end anyway. So just roll these out, push them out like that, and then that way you have a way to control somewhat as you sit it down. Now, I'm gonna show you when we put it on the grill, but when you're gonna put it on the grill, you're just gonna lay it out, and as it starts to cook, it's all gonna come together and hold itself together. So this is just really as a temporary brace in a sense. So we have our beef skewer set aside, we have our vegetable skewer set aside, the charcoal grill outside is ready to go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get our rice going, right? So add your butter to the pan. Almost dropped it there. So add enough butter to the pan, and then we're gonna add some salt to the bottom of this pan, right? We're gonna add our saffron. Now saffron is going to add a very, very fragranty flavor, as well as it's gonna add a lot of color to the rice, right? So it doesn't take much. This stuff's actually extremely expensive. So we're gonna just use a little bit because we only need a little bit anyway. Just sprinkle it in the bottom of the pan with the butter. So once the butter starts getting nice and bubbly, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our rice. We're gonna toss the rice in there and just kind of toast up the rice, and then we're gonna add our water. Basmati is 1.5 to 1, so that's what we'll do. If our butter's nice and foamy, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our rice. Add about 1.5 cups of rice. And we're just gonna mix it around, get it nice and toasted, all right? And now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our water to that. And we're gonna cook this for 40 minutes. So once you add your water and it comes up to a boil, put your lid on and turn your heat all the way to low and set your timer for 40 minutes. Welcome to the great outdoors. Okay, let's start grilling. Take Koobideh and lay it on top. And the nice thing about this grill, this isn't a traditional grill, this is actually a smoker, but I'm using it to grill today because the Koobideh you don't want to cook over direct flame. You want to kind of have it off to the side. So if you use a grill, make sure you have like one side of the grill turned on if it's gas, or make sure you have your charcoal to one side and kind of just, and then put your Koobideh on the other side. You don't want to do it right over the flame because it'll get real burnt up. All right, so we're going to place these on top of here. We're gonna cover this up. We're gonna let these cook. You should only have to flip it on one side and then flip it on the other side. Okay, I almost fell on my butt. We're okay. So check it out. We're gonna turn these over. We're gonna let them finish cooking on the other side. So Got a nice color. Look at that. Yeah. Now, once you flip over, go ahead and add your vegetables to the grill as well. We're going to add our squash zucchini mix. We're going to add our tomatoes. We're going to add our onions. Now, keep an eye on everything because the tomatoes are going to take the longest to cook. Obviously, they're the biggest thing. The squash and the zucchini are going to be next, and then the onions will follow through as well. So just keep an eye on each one of them. They cook within about 5 minutes of each other, and then you just remove them as they're done. All right? All right, there you guys go. Right there, the Koobideh is ready to go. If you pinch on the side and you notice it's firm and not soft, you know it's ready. That's what it should look like. Guys, so check it out. The tomatoes, I like them to still be kind of firm in the middle, so just smash on it. As long as it's somewhat squishy, it's ready to go. See the onions, they're not all burnt up. They're just kind of wilted down, warmed all the way through. And then our squash and zucchini are nice and tender. Tender, but still kind of firm. And again, this is all personal preference on your vegetables. Some people like vegetables crunchy, some people like them really overcooked. So cook them however you like, but this is how they should look, not burnt onions and undercooked vegetables. That's why I do everything separate. All right, so 40 minutes later, our rice is ready. Go ahead and drop in your butter. And we're going to basically just fluff the rice. You're going to mix in that butter and just fluff up the rice. All right, so now let's plate this up. As you'll see, the saffron made a nice color on the rice. Nice little yellow tone to it. So I'm going to plate this up family style. All right, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of that sumac on top. And now we're going to work on the skewers. So we got our nice Koobideh right there. Beautiful. Just lay it across. We got our tomato. And we have our zucchini squash. And last but not least, our onions. All right. And there it is, guys. Koobideh. Sexy.